Let me preface this by saying that I, 38 male, struggled with a drinking issue for 3 years. It was the most difficult period of my life. However, I'm now 3 years sober and doing so much better with my life. I married my wife last year and have a stepson, teen Jake. Jake and I aren't close, but we have a cordial relationship. His dad's in the picture, so it's pretty clear he never sees me as a dad. Jake has done several things in the past that caused us to fight, like getting into trouble and making me pay for damages, or damaging my own things and having me pay for them. He also constantly mocks my sobriety every chance he gets. Some issues got worked out with time, but the mocking is still there. I told my wife how this makes me feel, but got nowhere. Father's Day came, and my wife's family came over to celebrate with us. We had dinner, and then Jake surprised me with a gift, saying it was for me for Father's Day, which I thought was sweet, completely out of character for him to get me anything. However, from the way he was smug and smiling, I just didn't feel comfortable. Anyway, I opened it and behold, there was a flask and a glass. Frankly, I felt like he just made fun of or mocked one of my life's biggest, most difficult struggles. I froze. I didn't know what to say or how to act since everyone was watching me. Jake was giggling hard, and that's when I got angry. I put everything back, then grabbed the box and told him, "This doesn't belong in my house." Then I opened the door, walked up to the trash can and threw the entire thing in there. My wife, her mom and my stepson were at the door watching. Jake went downstairs and my wife started arguing with me about what I did. We got into an argument and her parents left. My wife got more upset, saying how I reacted was childish and that Jake was just teasing me and I should loosen up and stop being dramatic. I refused to get engaged any further, and now there's just so much tension in the house and silence from my in-laws. Am I the idiot for how I handled it? Not the idiot. Your stepson knew what he was doing and you weren't being dramatic. Giving a recovering alcoholic such a gift is not only a horrible thing to do, but it can reintroduce the temptation. I think you reacted just fine, but your stepson is an idiot. Congrats on your 3 years sober. Considering the absolute audacity the stepson showed, you were relatively calm. Stepson is an idiot, and so is your wife for allowing him to be an idiot. Unfortunately, she's enabling him to become a mean-spirited and crappy person. Some things are not to be joked about. Completely agree, and as a teenager, he's old enough to know what he was doing. His behavior was unacceptable, and it appears that his family is enabling him to continue in this vein and allowing it as some trade-off for him to cease other behaviors. This is how some hurtful adults start out. I'd be mortified if one of the children I raised did something like this. It sounds like OP's wife doesn't appreciate what OP is going through with her son's behavior, nor the struggle to keep sober. Also, someone had to buy him that thing. He can't purchase it himself, so I'm betting either his father or OP's wife bought the alcohol for the stepson. And OP, I would really find out which if I were you, because if it was your wife, I would rethink the marriage. That is deeply concerning if she genuinely thinks her son's gift was an appropriate joke and not a mean, nasty prank. If they thought it was a joke, they would not be offended when OP put it in the trash. That's what joke gifts are for. Joke marriage should also go in the trash. My boyfriend, 23, and I, 22, have been dating for 7 months now. He has a girl best friend, we'll call her Ruby, and she hates me a lot. She always makes unnecessary comments about my upbringing. I had a great childhood and was incredibly privileged all my life, and I know that. My boyfriend and his girl best friend were not as fortunate as I was. I completely understand that we were from 2 completely different upbringings. I respect what they've gone through. Ruby constantly brings up the fact that I grew up wealthy. She uses it as a jab against me, even though it's just a fact about my upbringing. Last Friday, I met some of my boyfriend's other childhood friends. Ruby was also present. We were having a good time at a restaurant. My birthday was a few days ago, and I received a Lady Dior bag from my dad and decided to wear the handbag since we were going to a pretty fancy restaurant. As I said, we were having a great time until Ruby brought up the fact that they struggled when they were young. They all told their most difficult moments during that time. I silently listened until Ruby said something about me not knowing what it's like for normal people. I just responded by saying that I had a good childhood and couldn't relate to their experiences. She then said it must be nice being a spoiled princess and having mommy and daddy taking care of everything. It must be nice to walk around with a $5,000 bag while others have nothing. My mouth was completely open. She was very bold to say that. I looked at my boyfriend thinking he'd say something. He just looked away from me. That made me angry, so I told Ruby that some of us had normal, loving parents, unlike you. Not everyone grew up with addicted, crazy parents. She got very upset and walked away crying. My boyfriend glared at me. I ended up leaving after that. My boyfriend messaged me this morning saying that I'm a massive witch for saying something that was still so sensitive for Ruby. That I was the disrespectful one for constantly rubbing my wealth in her face and that I should apologize. I didn't respond. He's also at fault for letting her insult me for this long. He didn't defend me all those times she said out-of-pocket crap. When she disrespects me, it's completely fine, but as soon as I get disrespectful, it's not funny anymore. I feel guilty that I mentioned her parents, but she should also respect my parents and me. I'm partially wrong for saying that about her parents, but I never shoved my wealth in her face. I had an expensive bag with me. I don't see that as shoving my wealth in her face. I don't feel wrong about that at all. Am I the idiot? I think 7 months was enough to waste on this guy. You're not compatible and he'll never have your back. Time to move and end this headache. Just like they didn't choose to have a crappy childhood, you didn't get a choice to have wealthy parents. What matters is your character now, and if they're not willing to see it because you didn't struggle as they did, this will never work. Yeah, boyfriend lets Ruby say that crap because he agrees with it but likes getting laid too much, to be honest. Ruby treats you like that because she resents you for being with your boyfriend instead of him and Ruby being together. Tell your boyfriend he's a coward. If he can't learn to stand up for his partner, he could at least have your back when you stand up for yourself. You are the idiot. Sorry, but there's no way I'm taking a $5,000 Dior bag to a dinner with people who couldn't afford one and have vocally spoken about their poor, bad childhoods. Sure, it's OP's property and it's not OP's fault she grew up with money. However, I find 9 out of 10 rich people are wildly out of touch. Their parents didn't take the time to give them a reality check, so they can't really relate to the average person even when they try. My son just became a pre-tween. He wanted peanut butter cake, so I got him the peanut butter cake. My nephew, a year older, is severely allergic, so I also got a small generic vanilla cake for him and any other kid who may not want the peanut one. The peanut cake was decorated, had candles, etc., and it was the cake the kids saw and is in the pictures. The vanilla cake was small and garden variety. It was in the kitchen, and I cut it up there and took pieces out for the kids who wanted it, about 5 kids out of 20. Most kids at the party were cousins of my son. My husband and I both come from big families, plus some friends. Adults were also there, mostly my siblings and my husband. When my sister saw the peanut cake, she freaked and yelled at me, saying if her son touched the cake he could die. I told her I told the kids it was peanut cake and that I have a vanilla one in the kitchen for my nephew. She freaked out and her husband walked her into the house to calm her down. When she came back, the kids were already eating the cake. She asked me, "So you're okay with my son dying so that yours can have cake?" I told her that's absurd and I'm not getting into it at a kid's party. After the party, she said I'm an inconsiderate idiot for not considering her kid. He could die if he had just a little cake by accident. So, am I the idiot? You are the idiot. It isn't worth the risk, is it? Indeed, you have observed kids at play before. They touch each other and then those fingers go in their mouths and noses. This isn't rocket science. You are the kid for not at least warning your family before the party that peanut butter cake was going to be involved, especially since you know a close family member has a deadly allergy. You played Russian roulette with a birthday cake. It was stupid and you were wrong. I know people that just smell peanut and start reacting. Once a friend touched something that was touched by someone who touched a peanut and he reacted. Allergies are no joke and this should have been mentioned first so a solution could be made. You are the idiot. You put your nephew in danger. You could have easily told your son to have the peanut butter cake another day. Instead, you trusted younger children to eat the cake and not cross-contaminate. You could have told her that that was the kind of cake your son wanted, but instead, you just blatantly put your nephew into the line of danger, and your sister had to stand there and watch. I would have panicked too. Next time, you should maybe think about others. I can't get over the fact that OP would put another child at deadly risk because of cake. This is about as insensitive and selfish as people get. Not caring that another person could die with somebody's little mistake like cross-contaminating the cutlery or, as OP did, by storing the cakes in the same fridge and touching both with unwashed hands. My old assistant was deadly allergic to nuts, and what do? We stopped eating nuts in the workplace. because her life was worth vastly more than our stupid snacks. I, 25 female, have pretty significant scarring on both of my arms and legs. The scars are over a decade old but didn't fade well. I'm pretty used to covering them up for work and other situations, but I've gotten to a point where I no longer feel ashamed when wearing clothes that show them. This has taken a lot of work on my end, and I'm well aware that not everyone knows how to react in a way that isn't hurtful, and that's okay. I can manage. My boyfriend of 10 months invited me to go with him to his family's pool party and cookout. I've met his parents a few times before, and they've seen some of the scars and didn't say anything. However, his other siblings and their families, who I'd not met before, were going to be there. I still look forward to meeting everyone because his parents are lovely. At the party, I wore shorts and a modest tank top considering that it was well over 95 degrees, 35 degrees C outside, and wearing more clothes than anyone in a swimsuit. I mostly kept to myself and talked to my boyfriend's mom while he played with his nieces and nephews. He doesn't see them very much. After a while, his mom went inside and his sister approached me. After a couple of minutes of conversation of her asking about scars, yes, she led with that, she told me that she doesn't want her kids, tween female and younger male, to see all that, talking about my scars, because they're quite young. She asked me if I brought a jacket or something to cover up with, and I told her that I didn't because of how hot it was. She offered to let me borrow a shirt from her parents, and I said that I would rather leave if I'm offending everyone. She huffed and signaled my boyfriend to come over and asked him the same thing if he had something that I could wear to cover up with. He said that I was fine and said that she was being ridiculous. She said that she and her kids would leave if that were the case, which attracted their dad's attention, who, after hearing both sides, told them to let it go. The whole thing was embarrassing, and his sister was passive-aggressive to my boyfriend and me for the remainder of our time there. We ended up leaving early, and I asked him to drop me off at my place even though we had plans to watch a movie together at his apartment. He apologized for his sister and said she was a witch for what she said, but honestly, I'm not sure if I was right for digging my heels in. But it was very hot outside and I was already feeling overheated, so I would have been miserable if I'd put on a jacket or another shirt. But this was the first time that I was meeting a lot of the people there. Am I the idiot? My father had one arm. One of my cousins asked him where his other arm was. Dad said he left it at home. Adults laughed, kid believed it, no big deal. You are not the idiot, OP. If her kids asked about your scars, she could have said, lots of people get scars, but it's not polite to talk about other people's bodies. But of course, she wouldn't know how to do that because she has no idea how to follow that rule and effectively parent her children. You did nothing wrong. She should be ashamed of herself. The only one who doesn't want to see all that is the sister. Even the father didn't side with her. Also, kids don't care at all. They're scars. It's not like you have tattoos of demons, burning Bibles and eating babies, and they're deeply religious or something. Not only was she being very rude to you, but she was doing a disservice to her children. That could have been a teachable moment for her children, but no. She was projecting her own discomfort onto her kids and using them as a handy excuse. Screw her. Glad your boyfriend had your back, OP. Keep him. He stood up to his sister for you and didn't try to keep the peace by appeasing his sister's ridiculous demand. I'm a working, sole income earner for the time being of 2. My husband has been struggling to find a job for 16 months. I don't know what's up with that, so I've been paying for everything. As you know, it's summertime and the kids want to go to the beach every weekend, so I'm busy working most of the time and my husband won't bother to take them unless he uses my car, which is a no because I need it for work. Anyway, I put money towards renovating and upgrading our old pool so the kids could use it. Once the pool was ready, my husband started inviting his friends over and using it for hours. They'd basically take over, preventing the kids from enjoying it. They complained about being denied the pool several times, which caused them to get upset. So I talked to my husband about it and told him to limit his friends' usage of the pool. He flipped out at me, saying it's his house and water too, and I can't control what he does and who he brings. I got mad and in return told him that tomorrow the kids get the pool or else I would ban his friends from it completely. He side-eyed me and said, "Fine, they can have the pool tomorrow." Well, next day my daughter called me crying, saying Dad brought his friends over and refused to let her and her brother play in the pool. I was livid. I literally left work right then and went home. I saw him and his friends in the pool messing around. I just screamed my head off at them, telling them to get out. My husband tried to get involved, but I told him off and had all of his friends leave. He blew up at me for acting like a lunatic and said I was controlling and shameless. I said I'd already told him to let the kids play in the pool, yet he ignored my request. He yelled at me, saying just because I paid to fix the pool doesn't mean I own it. He went back inside and started calling his friends one by one to apologize on my behalf, since he said I was too shameless to do it myself. Afterward, he left the house and hasn't been back yet. Edit, I paid for the pool to get renovated and upgraded. He and his friends are always there using it, giving me and the kids zero chance to spend some time in it. He and his friends trash the pool every single time, dropping foods and drinks, and I end up having to clean it. He then left the house and hasn't been back yet. Good. Change the locks and let him crash with his loser friends. They can support him. Not the idiot. I get that you have children with this man, but if he's not contributing financially, emotionally, or supportively, why are you keeping him around? I know people stay together for the kids, but he's making his kids miserable, treating them and you like crap and treating his kids like they're inconveniences and burdens. You don't want to put that on them. Yeah, I'd be looking at divorce lawyers over this. 16 months unemployed, trashing the home with his buddies, being an idiot to children, and turning it all into a blowout power struggle with his wife when she objects. What, if anything, does this man bring to a marriage that would make this relationship worth saving? It's hard to apply for jobs from a pool, just saying. Why are the kids not allowed to swim when his friends are? Why won't he take the kids out to do anything? So he's not working and not taking care of the kids. Does he at least do all the housework? Something tells me that OP does 100% of the childcare and 100% of the chores on top of paying 100% of the bills. He's not looking for a job. He knows what he's doing. He contributed nothing to the pool and is spending OP's money to buy things to trash their pool with. Dad of the year? He's not a spouse. He's a third kid.